So a topic I thought I'd talk about is reasons why trucking companies fail. And that's just, I think in 2019, 800 trucking companies went out of business in 2019. 2019, I had a better year in 2020 than I did in 2019 by a long way. And so, you know, lots of people want to do it, but I don't think many are prepared for it, and that's probably like any business. But this trucking has been the only business I've ever been in, so that's what I know, and that's what I want to talk about. So I found a thing on the internet that gave a list of 8 reasons why trucking companies fail, and the first one they say is lack of planning, and that's probably true. I mean, you know, you don't really need to know what you're going to do, because there's plenty of good paying brokered freight, especially right now. You know, when the COVID hit, April, May, June was pretty bad rates. You know, they were very low. I was really thankful I had that furniture that pretty much stayed even all the time. And that's one thing you'll find whenever you do have, basically, it's not a direct customer of mine, but it's very, very close. You're going to stay even. Whenever things are bad, you're going to be happy. Whenever freight's really booming, you're not going to be up in that big, boom of freight, but you'll stay even more than anybody else will. And I think I'd rather have that than chasing freight rates all the time. But definitely a lack of planning. There's really no reason for it. The internet is full of information on how to get started. And before I got my own authority, I was a company driver. I'd hate to know how many hours and hours of podcast I listened to, trying to learn everything about it, about maintenance and tires and the right way to buy fuel as far as IFTA goes, things like that. The internet's full of it. So while you're a company driver, try to soak all that in that you can. And probably the best thing to do before you would just jump in, and that's what I did personally, because either it was going to be Landstar or bust, because I wanted to be as close as I could to having my own authority without doing it. But they wouldn't take me because my driving record was fine, but I had been a local driver, and when I say local, we stayed in a 300-mile radius, and I was pretty much home every night. So they want you to have over-the-road experience. I'd had over-the-road experience before that, but for 5.5 years, that's all I was a local driver is what they said. So they said, go work for somebody for 6 months, and then we'll take you. And I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. So I got my own authority. I'd never owned a truck, never anything. So I just kind of jumped in with 2 feet, and it's worked out. But I think the best thing would be buy a truck, lease onto a company, and slowly work your way into it. It's a lot to take on at one time, and it's a lot of money you have to shell out at one time. You can do it. I mean, I did it, but it still takes a lot. Oh, drop my ink pen. All right, number 2 is poor management, and that's true, because I think one of the most important things, probably running any business, but like I said, trucking's what I know, is poor management. And I always say knowing your numbers is the most important thing that you can probably do. You can run a truck and have money in the bank and think, wow, I'm doing great. And the reason I know that is because for the first few months of business that I was in, I didn't track it. I was just out running, putting money in the bank, and then it came tax time, because I got my authority in October of 2014, and just kind of ran, and but I'm gonna drop everything. Ran and bought fuel here and there, and never really had a plan. And then when tax time came, I thought, I need to get serious about this. So that's when I really got serious about my accounting. Really start getting serious about fuel mileage, where I buy my fuel, all that. So you can run around and put money in the bank. You think I'm doing great, but it was very eye-opening when you really see where your money's going. So I think that's very important. The third one they say is low cash flow. I don't know if I really agree with that or not. especially nowadays with almost every broker offers quick pay. And you know, I've made a video before about factoring companies, which I don't like. I used them in the very beginning. Things have changed a lot in, well, we're coming up, it'll be 7 years this year. Things have changed a lot. A lot of brokers wouldn't quick pay back then. Sorry about that. A lot of brokers wouldn't quick pay back then, and I started with a factoring company, and I made a video that seemed like it aggravated a lot of people. If you use a factoring company, that's fine. I don't care. But just know when you start using a factoring company, it's hard to get away from them because they have to be paid in full before they'll release you from that. And I can go back into that more, but I don't know if I really agree with low cash flow, because you can, if you want to take the beating on it, which would be 5%, you can do that and get started, and then you don't have to keep doing that. With a broker, you can change, say, no, I want 30-day pay. So now I'm 30-day pay on everything. And once you get 30 days in, you're going to have 10 to 20,000, depending on how busy you are. You're going to have 10 to 20,000 on unpaid invoices at all times. So once you get that hard 30 days in, you're always going to have money coming in every single week. So I don't think the cash flow. You could buy a truck, pick a load up, go deliver it, take that quick pay for the next day if you really needed it at 5%, and there's you some money. So I don't really believe that one. No collection strategy is their fourth one. That's another one I've never really had. There's been a couple times, and that's what one guy commented on a video. He said about that one I made about the factoring company. He said, now talk about all the legwork that goes into invoicing and collecting money, and it does happen. I just called on one yesterday that and what my deal is when 30 days comes, and everything's so much easier. I know I'm jumping back and forth, but everything's so much easier with apps and things like that. I use an app to keep track of all my invoices, and when 30 days comes, I'm tracking it. When that hits, I'll call them, say, hey, what's going on with this invoice? They'll say, okay, it's just in the mail. And sometimes they'll lie to you. They say, yeah, we put it in the mail or this and that, and it won't come, and then you got to kind of stay on them. Not very few are like that, though, but I've had a couple. I've never not been paid, but you do have to stay on them. So I don't know about the collection strategy. All you have to do is call them and stay on them. You can, they raised that broker bond. I never wanted to do that, but you can file a claim on their bond, or if you're an OIDA member, I'm an OIDA member just for my drug consortium. You can call them. They'll start getting on them about it. There's multiple things to do. You don't really need a collection's not a big thing, I don't think. Number 5 is low-paying freight or no knowledge of market rates. Yeah, that's true. You don't. I think there's people that tell me, when you call a broker and just talk to them and say, hey, I always say, hey, this is John with JP Transport. I see I'm calling about a load that you have moving tomorrow. And they say, okay, John, where's the load going, or where's it picking up? And I tell them, we have a conversation, and they say there's a lot of people, just talk to people in a calm manner. Say there's a lot of people that just call, say, how much? They don't even, so it's crazy. Take your time. On low-paying freight, yeah, that'll take time to learn the lanes. Say there's a $3 load going to Miami. Some people, if you don't know that, that's a dead hole coming out of there. You're lucky to get $1 a mile coming out of Miami. You just need to know that, and you'll learn over time. So whenever I see a load, a good paying load, and if I don't know the market it's going into, and they do change, I'll actually, before I ever book that load, I'll look. I use DAT, by the way. I'll get on there and look at where the load's going. Say there's a load going from Indianapolis to Lafayette, Louisiana. I'll go into Lafayette, coming back home. I'll see how much volume there is, how much those loads are paying, and then that'll help me determine what I'm going to have to get going in there. So there's no way Miami anytime. It really Florida anything, but the deeper you go into Florida, the worse it gets. So if you go into South Florida, just plan on, if you're lucky, you'll get a load out of there, and if you're lucky, it'll pay $1 a mile, and that's all you're going to get. So don't go to South Florida cheap. Make sure you take your money down there. Number 6, failure to stay compliant. That's a big one. Oh, right here. That just happened. That's a good thing. Last week, I got pulled over 2 times by DOT. The first one was I had made a round down in Louisiana. I came back up into Mississippi, and then I was going to reload out of Memphis. So I think I just unloaded my last stop in Mississippi and was on a 4-lane divided highway, and there was a DOT officer in the middle, and he pulled me over. Well, that was just a level 3. He just checked my paperwork. It was real fast. Oh, okay. Oh, by the way, I was driving slow. I was in no rush. I was in no rush to get anywhere, so I was driving slow. He pulled me over. He didn't say anything. He said, "You're not doing anything wrong, just checking paperwork." Okay. Well, I go up to Memphis and get reloaded, and I'm going across 40. A Tennessee state trooper, DOT officer, sitting in the middle of the interstate on 40. I was driving slow then, too. I was taking a load to Shepherdsville, Kentucky, to an Amazon, and it wasn't until 9 o'clock at night, I think. I had all kinds of time to get there. More time than I needed, even driving slow. He gets behind me and pulls me over. And mind you, this was on... Mississippi was on Wednesday, Tennessee was on Thursday. He opens up my passenger door, and his first words were, "Why are you driving so slow?" So I told him, I said, "Well, I'm in no hurry." I said, "I'm trying to get good fuel mileage, trying to save wear and tear on my truck." And he honestly thought that I was either drunk or on drugs. He said, I said, "Have I done something wrong here?" He goes, "No, it's just unusual behavior to drive that slow." I was driving 57, which I guess it is a 70, but there's no law against it. I think their minimum's 50, so I wasn't breaking the law. And but yes, so 2 times, and I think I've been inspected 5 times in the last 2 years. But I keep a book like this, and he was real impressed with this. It's probably backwards, but I keep a book like this with my logo on the front of it, and then everything's in a laminated page that they need. Cab card, insurance, physical, IFTA, or trailer registration. So he was like, "Wow, that's really good." All my compliance is in this pocket. How he can use my ELD, all that stuff, and he also. If you're running around not compliant with your ELD, basically if you don't have one that's tied to your ECM, they are checking that now. On Keep Trucking, that's what I use. He can punch a code in, it emails all my logs right to his laptop, and then he can go in his car and study them. He doesn't have to do them on my phone. That's very important. You can be put out of business fast. 7 is partner with the wrong people. I would never partner with anybody because no 2 people are the same. This video is getting long, so I'm gonna keep that short. I wouldn't do that. Number 8 is no professional help, and I don't really understand that one either. I guess it's because I like to do everything myself. I like to do all my maintenance. I like to do all my bookkeeping, and I'm a numbers nerd. But, and if anybody would have went to school with me, they would never think that because I barely graduated high school. But when it comes to money, you see those numbers mean something to me. And, so that's different for everybody. There's all kinds of services out there that would help you if you don't want to do your own stuff. But I enjoy doing my own numbers. I have an accounting program for that. What's the other thing? Oh, basically your IFTA. I'm trying to think. You got things that you're going to need. Well, once you get your authority set up, all your annual things are going to have to do your 2290. That's due by June 30th. And then for me, at least, the fall is my big compliance time. That's cab card renewal time, insurance renewal time. What else? The UCR is due at the end of the year. Drug consortium has to be renewed, and I'm probably forgetting something, but then your ELD has to be renewed every single year. So those are the big things. I mean, there's no reason why a person couldn't do that, not with everything that's on the internet now. So that's their 8 reasons. Those are pretty good, and I can go into more detail with that. Like I said, I kind of enjoy talking about numbers, and I like the business of trucking more than I even like trucks. This is my 20th year. I was just thinking about that. I started driving, I think in September of 2000. Is it? Yeah, I think it was in September of 2001. So this is my 20th year of driving a truck, and just fancy trucks and stuff don't do anything for me anymore. I just like the business of it. I enjoy driving a truck, but I have a Freightliner Cascadia, and I love it. This is my 3rd truck, and it's probably my favorite truck. I know it is. It's definitely the cheapest to maintain. It's the cheapest on fuel. It's comfortable. It's got plenty of room in it. It's easy to work on. But if you have any questions or anything like that, just drop them in the comments. So, thanks for watching.